You know how when you're having a conversation with someone in public, maybe you're at the mall or on a bus or in a restaurant, and that one person just happens to lean over and chime in their unsolicited opinion. Well, I'm back. So tonight, we're taking a closer look at one of my regular shelf staples. Now, last time we spent more talking about the wheated bourbons, the sweeter side of life, for those that like a sweet American whiskey, softer, rounded. Tonight we're flipping the script because what we've got going is a rye, Sazerac Rye, and it is Sazerac. I know some of you will see the Z there. That is not the correct pronunciation, and I'm going to leave that edit in because that's how we do. Ironic, isn't it? So I said it wrong for the longest time until I actually learned more about it because, frankly, I appreciate history, but I bought this way before I knew more about it. And we'll get into those facts here in just a minute. So, keynotes, you would be, with this particular one, it is considered an entry-level rye. We refer to it jokingly as a barely legal because the mash bill is a 51% rye, which is just over basically rye status. So it is a much less harsh version than what you would see with a 90 or 100% rye, something like that. That gives you a much harder bite, fights back. This one is a good introduction on your palate if you're interested in trying ryes, trying different whiskeys or something with stronger flavor profiles. This one will get you in the door. This is also one of the oldest staples in rye history. It also has ties with one of the oldest known cocktails in the world. Not this particular brand, just in general. And we'll go over that in just a minute. So, a couple of standard things. This particular one is, as it is a standard release, but it is known as the Baby Sazerac because there were so many bartenders that demanded a stronger version of rye for various cocktails, and it was quite popular for the flavor profile. Buffalo Trace did release a higher, so they released a 100 proof and a 125 proof, much longer aged. So typically the minimum age requirement for a rye is 4 years. Buffalo Trace claims, at least, that based on what they say by representatives, that this is aged for at least 6 years. So assume 6 years. Now, with the fully set ryes that they have made, they're putting it at 18 years. So a fuller aging process, much more strength in the flavor. Now, this one you'll still get those spices, but more of a candied essence, citrus and pepper, smooth kind of licoricey sort of finish. Personally, I get more vanilla, but that's just me. I have been drinking this one for a long time. Now, I first discovered this, I want to say in a local store about where I live, or where I used to live, and I became obsessed because I got really into ryes for a while and wanted to try all the different ones I could find, and this one really, really spoke to me. Especially after you drink so much of the bottle, you can hear all the voices. Yeah. Now, if you want to get a good introduction into ryes and try, this is the way to go. And there are lots of other choices out there, lots of other ryes that I could recommend that we are not going to talk about today, but maybe in the future we'll go over those. Now, price-wise, this is also another approachable rye to find. It's a little bit harder to find by region because of the way it's made, because it's where it's shipped and availability. However, when you do, if and when you can find this particular as a regular release, it's typically only priced between $30 to $50, which is extremely fair for a well-made whiskey, especially in a decent distillery. Which Buffalo Trace is fairly commercial, but they still make very good products. Higher proof, obviously, older ryes, gonna cost more. It's harder to find. So, Frankfort, Kentucky, made by Buffalo Trace, yada yada. We're gonna get into some facts here. As a matter of fact, we're just gonna pop this bad boy open. We're gonna pour. It's been breathing. I've had this one open for a little while, but you know, we're just gonna give it a little extra oxygen, so to speak. Give ourselves a nice little pour. Just a real small guy. Oh, I love the smell of this stuff. So, we're gonna just toss these notes here. I got all the important stuff out. So this again, already talked about that mash bill. So let's talk about the history, actually, of this particular. And you can see it's very nice amber gold color, very well put together. The history is inextricably linked to 19th century New Orleans and named after the Sazerac coffee house. Now, I lost my train of thought. Don't worry. Buffering. So you'll see a very New Orleans traditional old-fashioned cocktail. And basically what happened was back in the mid-1800s, the original cocktail in New Orleans was actually used a very specific brand of brandy, which is distilled from grapes. Now, those grapes came from a very specific vineyard, and when disease plagued through France and destroyed vineyards, basically they had to find a new source, and they found rye. So it was made the same way. They had Peychaud's bitters, if you're familiar. Peychaud's bitters, rye, citrus, and you know what? I used to have that. I do. So the modern brand was released in 1980. So we're talking nearly 100 years after the fact. But basically, in and of itself, their giant claim to fame on Sazarac Rye is being linked to the world's oldest cocktail, or as many claim. Now, basically, this was named after the tea house that, which they originally sold and imported Sazerac de Forges et Filles. Fees. Excuse me. I'm not very good with French. Now, unlike high rye, I'm getting a lot of, and you can get a lot of that soft. It's been a long night. So we're still gonna sit here and enjoy this though, just for funsies. We're just gonna forget all that. We're just gonna sit here and talk. So you still get the bite, but it's very muted. It's very relaxed. Like I said before, like a lot of common drinking notes are the licorice finish. Which personally, if I could taste that, I wouldn't like it very much because I don't like licorice tasting things. But I get a lot more of the deep cloves and vanilla, very much like a baking is what it reminds me of. Very, very nice warm drink, especially on, like, I live in the Midwest, very cold nights. It's a very easy to sip, very enjoyable little. Now see that, getting down to those last few sippers, letting it kind of breathe. I can definitely see why you might find something like this replacing brandy. I honestly wouldn't have expected that. So it's something else I got to learn with this little journey. Is I do like a decent brandy. That's something in the last year that I've actually started exploring more, was brandies. Um, just it's not something that you would expect. Kind of slips through the cracks a little bit. I have tried a couple of cognacs that I enjoyed, but it's just it's a more rare niche for me. I've gotten more into the standards of bourbon, Canadian, Scotch, Irish. So when you get into some of the more finesse, like cognacs and brandies, and there are a difference, which I did not know until this last year. It's a much different experience. So when you're ready, I would say give this bad boy a try. You never know. You might like it, you might hate it. Otherwise, join me next time and we'll see something else to talk about. I think we'll switch it up again. Find out. Otherwise, keep on sipping. Enjoy.